Okay, I call to order the Canyon City Preservation Commission special public hearing. Cindy, will you do roll call?
Of course. Terry? Chris?
Here. Here.
Mike?
Here.
Jim?
Here.
Myself, Rochelle?
Here.
And Carol.
Oh,
Carol is here. Okay.
Now I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda and the meeting minutes of last meeting.
I have one change on the meeting minutes. I was there.
Oh, good.
That's the only change. Otherwise, I approve that move that we approve the meeting minutes of the March 24th meeting as presented.
Do I hear a second? Roll call?
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Rochelle?
yes.
Carol?
I abstain. I did not read them. I did not see them.
Okay, now we'll open the public hearing on the Peabody Mansion. We'll start with the staff report.
Good afternoon. This is the public hearing for consideration to adopt a resolution and initiate the process for designating a structure located at 403 Royal Gorge Boulevard, known as the Peabody Mansion, also known as the Cleveland Peabody Mansion, El Rio Motel, and the Cataline Motel. The current owners of the property are Kendra Labonte and Joseph Stott. The owners have been duly noticed by mail at least 15 days prior to this public hearing, as well as signs were posted on the property 15 days prior to this hearing. The original construction of the building is dated 1880 to 1881. The original owners of the property were James and Ann Cleland. The architect, or a parsible architect, is George W. Rowe. He was also the architect for the Robeson Mansion. The structure has not moved from its original location. Architecturally, the Peabody Mansion is a two-story brick Second Empire house as defined by the concave mansard roof, the bracketed cornices, and the central projecting pavilion in the front. The house has two one-story bay windows, one on the west side of the building and the other on the east side. The 1.5-story brick addition on the northeast corner of the house was added in 1893. The foundation of the house is primarily sandstone blocks. The Peabody Mansion has seen a couple renovations during its history. The original front porch of the house was replaced around 1946 with a large wraparound porch. According to a feasibility study of the mansion done in 1991 by Simple Brown and Roberts Architects, the original brick facade was covered in stucco sometime prior to November 1969. The stucco and the wraparound porch have since been removed as part of an extensive renovation and restoration project that was done in 1993. This project was coordinated by the Chamber of Commerce with direct involvement and cooperation from the Main Street USA of Canyon City, the Upper Arkansas Area Council of Governments, and the City of Canyon City were all part of. And all of this was part of the River Station project. The renovation of the mansion was funded through grants and donations. Other renovations done as part of this in 1993 included repair of the existing metal roof, replacement of deteriorated sandstone stills, and any wood surfaces, removal of the non-historic enclosed porch on the east side and the west bay window, and the addition on the rear of the structure. The installation of an access door to the front porch deck was also done, and the rehabilitation of the interior of the house entailed the removal of all non-historic additions to the interior of the house, which included plaster, a drop ceiling, and floor coverings, plaster work on the first floor, and the reconstruction of the fireplaces and mantels to resemble original pieces. Upon completion of the renovation in 1993 and 1994, a new building inventory of the Peabody Mansion was filed with the Colorado Historic Preservation Office. According to the Colorado's online cultural resources database, COMPASS, the mansion was assessed as being eligible for the state register in April 1994, but the property was never designated at that time. The current appearance of the house has not been altered much from the 1993-1994 renovation. The application states that the masonry is in need of restoration, cleaning, and removal of the spalling due to the sealant that was applied to the brick of the house during the 1993-1994 renovation. This deterioration of the brick on the exterior of the house was evident in 2005 and has continued to be an ongoing concern. The current owners of the house intend to rehabilitate the house and carry on the vision that Cara Fisher, Darrell Biggerstaff, and the city of Canyon City had in the 1990s in saving this grand building. The significance of the property. The Peabody Mansion is one of only 3 noted structures in Canyon City that are Second Empire. The other 2 are the St. Cloud Hotel and the Robeson Mansion. Of the 3 Second Empire structures in Canyon City, the Peabody Mansion is the oldest of the 3 and is currently not listed on either the state or national registry of historic landmarks. According to the application form, the Peabody Mansion is one of the last of the grand homes that originally lined the north side of River Street, now the Royal Gorge Boulevard. The house is primarily associated with 2 individuals who were deeply involved in local and state politics, the Honorable James Cleland and his son-in-law, and former Colorado Governor James H. Peabody. James Cleland was an early settler to Canyon City, arriving in 1871. James Cleland became the second person to hold the office of mayor of Canyon City, serving from 1873 to 1874. Cleland also served as a member of the last territorial council in 1876, representing Fremont County. He then served in the state's first state senate in 1877, representing the 14th district of Colorado. James Cleland owned and operated a dry goods and general merchandise store located at 404 Main Street, just back behind him, this house, from 1874 to the 1880s. Cleland built his house at 403 River Street in 1881, and lived there with his wife, Anne, and their son, James Cleland. Cleland died in his home on February 17th, 1892. His wife, Anne, continued to live in the house with her daughter, Frances Peabody, and her family until her death in 1916. Frances Cleland married James Peabody in 1878. The couple had 3 children, James, Cora, and Jesse, who grew up in the house at 403 River. James Peabody originally came to Canyon City in 1875 and began working for James Cleland in the dry goods store. James Peabody served the community in many different capacities. He acted as city treasurer, city clerk, city alderman, the mayor of Canyon City from 1901 to 1902, school director from 1882 to 1889, and the county clerk and recorder from 1882 to 1889. And he accepted the Republican nomination for governor of Colorado in 1902. He won the election and served as governor from 1903 to 1905. During his term in office, the family did live in Denver, but returned to Canyon City and the house on River Street after allegations of election fraud and Governor Peabody's resignation from office in March 1905. According to a biography printed in Peabody's memorial service in 1917, James Peabody also organized and served as president of the Canyon City Electric and Power and Light Company, the First National Bank in Canyon City, and the Canyon and Royal Gorge Railroad Company in 1906. In addition, Peabody and James Cleland were original stockholders in the company that developed the city's first waterworks in 1879. Following the death of Governor Peabody in 1917, Mrs. Peabody sold the house to William Kettle, who operated a second-hand store and rooming house. In 1939, the city of Canyon City took ownership of the property with a design to partner with the American Legion and the Works Progressing Administration, the WPA, to demolish the house to make room for a large auditorium. The funding for this project fell through, and L.M. Litz purchased the house from the city of Canyon City for $1,000, with plans to make it into an apartment house in 1942. By the mid-1940s, the house was utilized as a motel. 1946, Forrest Nichols and local businesswoman Dusky Baxter, AKA Dusky Nichols, bought the house and opened the El Rio Motel, and later became the Cleveland Cataline Motel. The house continued as an office for the motel, that had rooms or structures back behind the alleyway until roughly 1988. The city of Canyon City acquired the house again in 1992 from the Fremont National Bank. After the extensive rehabilitation, the house became the Chamber of Commerce and continued to function as their office until 2019, excuse me. Under these findings of facts, the house does meet the criteria. The original building and construction of the property took place in 1880, 1881, making it significantly more than the 50 years old. The Peabody Mansion was last renovated in 1993. The property was originally owned by James and Ann Cleland and is also associated with former Colorado Governor James H. Peabody, the Cleland's son-in-law. James Cleland is a former mayor of Canyon City and has additional significant state and local political ties. The Peabody is one of only 3 noted structures in Canyon City built in the Second Empire style of architecture and exemplifies this architectural style. This mansion is the oldest building of those 3 built in this style and is the only one not currently listed on either the state or national register. As this is a public hearing, the staff recommends the Historic Preservation Commission cites these findings of facts as stated in the staff report, the application form, and the city's resolution explaining the commission's jurisdiction to hold a public hearing on this request. That concludes the staff report. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. We also have Kendra and Joe, the owners of the Peabody Mansion, here as well to answer any questions.
So that was in 1939, there were plans to tear it down?
Yes.
I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yeah. Because of World War II.
Okay. Are there any further comments from the commission or from the public?
I would just like to say to both Kendra and Joe that this group loves the history of our community, and we all know that it's not cheap and it's not a small undertaking to try and save a structure like this, and anyone who will step forward and attempt to do that we hold you in high regard, and we wish you great luck in making it financially viable. We know you have some challenges, but every old structure does. And so the fact that you've taken that on, just for me at least, I think's fantastic. And I'm glad to see somebody doing that, because I would sure hate to see that home fall to the wrecking ball like so many other beautiful old buildings have a tendency to do.
Thank you.
All right, well, anything else? With that, I'll entertain a motion on the proposed resolution.
Since you have helped me out with a cheat sheet this time, Mike, I think I move that the Historic Preservation Commission adopt the staff report dated April 14th, 2021 as findings of fact to the commission, and to initiate historic designation in the form of resolution number 4 of the 2021 attached to the staff report for the structure located at 403 Royal Gorge Boulevard, finding that it meets the criteria for initiation of designation per section 12, period 30, period 0900, criteria for designation.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Cindy, roll call?
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Cindy, yes. Rochelle?
Yes.
And Carol?
Yes.
All right. We will now open the meeting for public comment or announcements.
I have a few announcements. I'm still needing some reports back from individuals who are on the commission who had attended the Saving Places Conference. I need to file a report so we can get the scholarship money reimbursed back to us. If you have notes of the workshops that you attended, please email them to me as soon as you can. The deadline for getting that paperwork and to get that reimbursement is June 1st. So before that. The other upcoming thing is CLG training webinars that are coming up this next month and in June. There's one on preservation advocacy on May 19th. It's a webinar that you can get access to through the CLG portal. And the one in June 16th is history with a slide presentation, which I'm not quite sure exactly what that entails, but should be fairly interesting. The other thing I forgot to put on the agenda is May is National Historic Preservation Month. And we put on the calendar for City Council agenda a proclamation declaring that, I think on May 3rd. And that's all I have for announcements.
Okay. Is there anything else? If there's no further business, we will now adjourn this meeting.